Hello everyone, I welcome you all in the second lecture on topic profit, loss and discount. If you remember, in the last lecture I had discussed all the important concepts and therefore now it's time to start with the applications. So whatever number of lectures I'm going to share in this series, they will all be on problem solving only. In these lectures, you will see different types of problems being discussed. So in today's lecture, let's start off with the first type, problems based on the relationship between markup percent, discount percent, and profit loss percent. So that's the agenda. Let's move forward. Now, before I start this question, I want you to understand something really important. The way I'm going to approach this particular topic is I'm going to show different types of question which can be framed from this particular topic. Now, if some of you are thinking, sir, what does type mean? Type simply means questions which are important. Questions जिनके आने के chances ज्यादा है. ठीक है, तो ऐसे 9-10 टाइप्स के क्वेश्चन है जो फ्रिक्वेंटली पूछे जाते हैं, तो हम उनको टाइप के फॉर्म में पढ़ते हैं. तो किसी भी एक टाइप में आई एम गोइंग टू डिस्कस 2 to 3 क्वेश्चंस बेस्ड ऑन द वैरायटी व्हिच कैन बी आस्क्ड एंड आई होप नाउ द थिंग्स आर क्लियर. सो वी शैल स्टार्ट विद द फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन ऑफ टाइप 1. नाउ रीड द क्वेश्चन वंस. आई परचेज्ड अ वॉच फॉर रुपीज 140, marked up the cost price by 30%, sold it to a friend at a discount of 10%. What is the overall profit or loss percent in the transaction? So let me explain the data first. I purchased a watch for rupees 140 means the cost price of the watch is 140. Then I marked up the cost price. मार्कअप तो हम कॉस्ट प्राइस का ही करते हैं, ये तो हमको वैसे भी पता है. तो अगर यहाँ पे ये नहीं भी लिखा होता, सिंपली लिखा होता आई मार्क्ड अप द प्राइस ऑफ वॉच बाय 30%, तो इट इज कॉमन सेंसिकल कि कॉस्ट प्राइस को ही तो मार्कअप करते हैं. कितने परसेंट का मार्कअप किया? इट इज गिवन अ मार्कअप ऑफ 30% इज अप्लाइड. मार्कअप का नेचर पॉजिटिव होता है, तो मेरे पास अब जो प्राइस आएगा वो डेफिनेटली 140 से तो ज्यादा ही होगा, और इस प्राइस को बोला जाता है मार्क्ड प्राइस या एमआरपी या लिस्ट प्राइस. ऑल थ्री आर वन ऑफ द सेम थिंग. आई एम यूजिंग मार्क प्राइस एमपी. अच्छा, देन ही अप्लाइड अ डिस्काउंट ऑफ 10% बिफोर सेलिंग इट टू अ फ्रेंड. अपने दोस्त को बेचने से पहले उसने क्या किया? ही अप्लाइड अ डिस्काउंट ऑफ 10%. सो इफ यू कैन रिकॉल, हमने लास्ट सेशन में समझा था कि डिस्काउंट मार्क प्राइस पे अप्लाई किया जाता है. क्योंकि मार्क प्राइस पे अप्लाई करते हैं, सो लेट मी अप्लाई दिस डिस्काउंट ओवर मार्क प्राइस. इसका मतलब इस पर्सन ने इस वॉच को इस प्राइस पे नहीं बेचा, इस प्राइस पे बेचा, और क्योंकि इस प्राइस पे बेचा है, विल कॉल दिस प्राइस एज सेलिंग प्राइस. सो एट वट एवर प्राइस वी सेल, वी कॉल दैट प्राइस एज सेलिंग प्राइस. सो आई होप नाउ द थिंग्स आर क्लियर what is given in the question. Now in order to answer the question, what is the overall profit or loss percent in the transaction, many of you would say, sir, we are already aware about the value of cost price, and if somehow I can calculate the value of selling price, I'll compare the two variables. If it is a positive change, I'll calculate profit percent, and if not, I would calculate loss percent. It's very easy. अगर मैं इसको इस अप्रोच से करूं, so let me show you how you would do it. Cost price 140 है, उस पे कितने का मार्कअप किया? 30% का. मार्कअप का मतलब इंक्रीज करना है. Now what is 30% of 140? Let me show it to you. 140 का अगर मैं 30% कैलकुलेट करूंगा, so it will comes out to be 42. So it means इस पर्सन ने क्या किया? इसने कॉस्ट प्राइस को इंक्रीज किया बाय 42. अगर मैं कॉस्ट प्राइस को 42 से इंक्रीज करूंगा तो मेरे पास एक न्यू प्राइस आएगा जिसको हम बोल रहे हैं मार्क्ड प्राइस. अच्छा, लेकिन उसने इस प्राइस पे सेल नहीं किया. ही ऑल्सो ऑफर्ड अ डिस्काउंट ऑफ 10%. डिस्काउंट किस पे ऑफर होता है? एमआरपी पे. तो इसका 10% कैलकुलेट करेंगे और मेरे पास वो प्राइस आ जाएगा जिसमें उसने एक्चुअल पे सेल किया. अच्छा, 10% of 182, it is very easy. You would say, sir, it is 18.2. You can calculate it on your own. 18.2 का डिस्काउंट है तो हम माइनस करेंगे. अगर मैं 182 में से 18.2 को माइनस करूंगा एंड देन 163.8, सो व्हाट इज द सेलिंग प्राइस? इट इज 163.8. अब तुम बोलोगे सर अब तो बहुत इजी हो गया, मेरे पास कॉस्ट प्राइस का वैल्यू है, मेरे पास सेलिंग प्राइस का वैल्यू है, आई कैन कंपेयर द टू, नाउ आई कैन फाइंड आउट द आंसर. अच्छा, कैसा चेंज है? पॉजिटिव चेंज है कि नेगेटिव चेंज है? तुम बोलोगे सर पॉजिटिव चेंज है. कितने का इंक्रीज हुआ? तुम बोलोगे 23.8 से इंक्रीज हुआ, यानी कि प्रॉफिट हुआ है. नाउ इन ऑर्डर टू कैलकुलेट प्रॉफिट परसेंट, आई होप यू कैन रिकॉल, प्रॉफिट परसेंट के कैलकुलेशन के लिए हम प्रॉफिट न्यूमरेटर में लिखते हैं और डिनोमिनेटर में हमेशा कॉस्ट प्राइस लिखा जाता है, और फिर हम उसको 100 से मल्टीप्लाई कर देंगे. तो कितने का प्रॉफिट हुआ? यू वुड से सर अ प्रॉफिट ऑफ 23.8 over which price? Always over cost price. And then I'll multiply this thing by 100 and I can फाइंड आउट माई आंसर। अगर हम कैलकुलेट करेंगे तो दिस इज 720 and this is 7321 and 7428. I have a decimal here, so let me remove this decimal. So 101, 102, 34 divided by 2 is 17% profit. तो इस क्वेश्चन का आंसर अगर मैं इसको इस कन्वेंशनल अप्रोच से करूंगा तो वो कितना आएगा, 17% आएगा, विच इज द राइट आंसर. बट व्हाट आई वांट यू टू रियलाइज दैट आई कुड हैव आंसर्ड दिस क्वेश्चन without doing these unnecessary calculations. What I'm trying to tell you, calculating marked price, selling price, yes, all of this is irrelevant here. You know why? Because my answer of this question is never dependent on this value. It is only dependent on the two changes. I hope now some of you have started thinking about it, what you could have applied here. So let me share an elegant approach to answer the same question. Let me first show it again what we were given with. Cost price को हमने increase किया by 30%, फिर हमने 10% का डिस्काउंट दिया और हम सेलिंग प्राइस पे पहुंचे और हम यहां से यहां का चेंज कैलकुलेट करना चाहते हैं, isn't it? Now, if you look at these two changes together, the changes are happening one after another. And because the changes are happening one after another, can I say I can apply successive percentage change rule here? Now, to apply successive percentage change rule, I have two options. I have two approaches. Either I can go by the formula of successive or I can go by the second approach, multiplication factor. अगर मैं इन वैल्यूज को ध्यान से देखता हूं, जो सक्सेसिव चेंजेस की वैल्यूज हैं, दीज आर इजी वैल्यूज, और क्योंकि वैल्यूज होल नंबर्स में इजी वैल्यूज हैं तो मैं यहाँ पे फॉर्मूला ही प्रेफर करूंगा. व्हाट इज द फॉर्मूला ऑफ सक्सेसिव परसेंटेज चेंज? a प्लस b प्लस a into b upon 100 equals to c. Now I hope you can recall what are a, b and c in this formula. A and b are the values of successive percentage changes, the changes which are happening one after another. So if I compare, I get to know, okay, the value of A is the value of markup. Since markup is always positive, so value of A is plus 30. The second change is negative. Why? Because it was a discount of 10. Discount is always negative, therefore negative sign. And what I want to calculate, I want to calculate the value of C. So in our setup, the value of C denotes whether it's profit or loss. Okay, let's plug in the values now. Plus 30 minus 10. A का वैल्यू पॉजिटिव है, B का वैल्यू नेगेटिव है. If I multiply the two, I'll get a negative result. 30 into 10 by 100 equals to C. Do this calculation. So 30 minus 10 is 20. 20 minus 3. And can you see that how easily I'm able to find the same answer, 17%, without getting involved in such unnecessary calculation, calculating 30% of 140 and then calculating 10% of 182. And then you are subtracting this from this, getting this answer 163.8, and then to calculate profit or loss, you are doing this decimal calculation, right? So this unnecessary work is not required. All you need to realize is, okay, the changes are happening one after another, and therefore I can apply successive percentage change rule here. In order to apply successive percentage change, I have two options. Either I can use the formula or I could have used the multiplication factor approach. Since using formula was easy here, it's more feasible. Therefore, we selected the first approach. Yes, the formula approach. Multiplication factor, yes, I could have used it. If you want, you can. If some of you are inquisitive, sir, how we could have solved this question using the other approach, the multiplication factor approach, let me show it to you here. So what we are given with, a markup is followed by a discount. So what is the first step in multiplication factor approach? First, I'm going to convert these two successive changes in the form of multiplication factor. An increase of 30%, you would say, sir, 130 by 100. A discount of 10%, a discount of 10%, it means I just need to pay 90%, 90 by 100. In the next step, you have to just write down these two changes one after another in this form, and this will return you the value in this form, final upon initial. Let's simplify. Zeros will get cancelled. 13 into 9 is 117 upon 100. Now in the chapter of profit and loss, final value always denotes the value of selling price, and initial in the denominator you would always find the value of cost price. What I'm trying to tell you here, cost price is 100 while selling price is 117. If this is the case, can you tell me what is happening here? You would say, sir, we are looking at a profit of 17. So let's calculate profit percent. A profit of 17 over which price? Always over cost price. So let's write down the value of cost price in denominator and then multiply by 100. And again, you would get the same answer, 17% profit. Now, after listening to the second solution, some of you might be feeling, sir, why we are doing this question using the second approach? If this question can be done easily using the first approach, that is the formula one, why I'm solving this question using multiplication factor, right? And let me tell you, whatever you are thinking, you are absolutely right here. But guys, think about a situation where the values are not conducive enough. Means instead of giving you 30% and 10% change, if you are given with a decimal percentage change 16.66 and 8.33%, using formula approach would not be feasible then. And for such situations, you should know how to do this question using multiplication factor approach. And that is the reason why I want you to learn the other approach as well, which is the multiplication factor approach. Now, to understand whatever I've said here, let me show you one more question. Now, when you read this question, you would realize that this question is exactly same to the last one. The only difference is here, the percentage values are changed. Markup is 33.33% and discount is 12.5. And then eventually I have to find the same thing. What is profit or loss percent in this transaction, right? Let me first show you what we are given with. There was a cost price, again 140. We marked it by how much? By 33.33% this time. You will get a new price which is called as mark price. You would apply a discount here, a discount of how much percent? This time it is 12.5%. And at this price, since I have sold it, so this price would be called as the selling price, and have to find out the change from this point to this point. If it is a positive change, profit percent; negative change, loss percent, something which we had discussed in the last question too. Now, after looking at this setup, one can realize that I can use successive percentage change rule here. But I have two options. Either I can go by the formula approach or I can use the multiplication factor approach. If you look at the percentage values this time, look at the values 33.33%, 12.5%. What kind of changes are these? These are decimal percentage changes. And therefore, using formula would not be a feasible approach. So let's try solving this question by using the other approach, that is multiplication factor approach. In multiplication factor, the first step is to convert these changes, an increase of 33.33% followed by a discount of 12.5% in the form of multiplication factor. And I hope you can recall how do we convert a decimal percentage value in the form of multiplication factor. First step, to write down the fraction. So what is the fractional value of 33.33? It is 1 by 3. And since I'm increasing it, I'll add it to 1. And what is 1 plus 1 by 3? You would say, sir, 4 by 3. So that is the first multiplication factor. For the second change, where I have to decrease a value by 12.5, first write down the fraction. 12.5% is equivalent to 1 by 8. But this time, since I have to decrease, I'm going to decrease this value from 1. And once I do so, I'll get 7 by 8, isn't it? And once I'm able to convert these two changes in the form of multiplication factor, answering this question using this approach is a cakewalk. Let's see how. Just write down these two factors in this form, one after another. And when you solve this, you will get your answer in this form, SP upon CP, final upon initial. Remember, initial value is cost price and final value is selling price. So I'm using the same logic. When you solve this, 414,428, and you will get this fraction as 7 upon 6, which is equivalent to SP upon CP. When you compare, you get to know cost price is 6, selling price is 7. So if you look at the change here, the change is positive. Cost price is 6, selling price is 7. So it's an increase of 1. Positive change means profit. So let us calculate profit percent now. A profit of 1 over which price? Always over cost price. And what is 1 by 6 in terms of percentage? You would say, sir, 16.66%. And please do not forget to use a positive sign. Okay, so can you see that how easy it is to find out the answer of this question using the second approach? And that is the utility of second approach. And that is the reason why I also want you to learn the other approach, the multiplication factor approach. Because when the values are difficult, solving a question using formula approach will not be a feasible way. So let me show you one more question based on this type, and then this type would be over. A trader finds that his net profit is 20% in spite of giving a discount of 10%. What is the markup percent? Now, if you look at the setup carefully, what they are saying that this trader has given a discount of 10%. Discount is always applicable over market price. So when I apply a discount of 10% over it, I'll get a new price, that is selling price. So in spite of giving a discount of 10%, the trader realized that his net profit is 20%. Now guys, if I ask you, how do we get to know whether it is profit or loss? You would say, sir, when we compare cost price and selling price, we get to know whether it's profit or loss. So after the comparison of the two, I get to know it's a profit. A profit of how much percent? A profit of 20%. And therefore, what I'm supposed to calculate here, this time I have to find out markup percent. I hope the question is understood. After looking at the setup, you would say, sir, again I can use successive percentage change rule. Again, I have two options. Either use formula approach or I can go by the multiplication factor. So let me use multiplication factor here. The first change is unknown. The second change is given. And we know the cumulative effect, the overall effect of the two. It is a profit of 20%. So let me show you how we can solve it using multiplication factor. The first step would be to convert these changes in the form of multiplication factor. A decrease of 10%, a discount of 10% means मल्टीप्लिकेशन फैक्टर वुड बी 90 अपॉन 100. तुम बस इस 10% को 100 से माइनस कर दोगे. और इस बार 100 से क्यों माइनस कर रहे हैं? क्योंकि हम परसेंटेज वैल्यू यूज कर रहे हैं, फ्रैक्शनल वैल्यू यूज नहीं कर रहे हैं. ओके, देन अ प्रॉफिट ऑफ 20%. अ प्रॉफिट ऑफ 20% मींस क्योंकि मैं इंक्रीज करूंगा तो 100 प्लस 20 वुड बी 120%. so 120 upon 100. Okay, and I have to find out the value of first change. So try to see what we are given with. The first change is unknown, followed by second change, a discount of 10%. A discount of 10% in multiplication factor form is 90 by 100. And the cumulative effect of the two is resulting you a profit of 20%, means 120 upon 100. So it is very easy to answer. This 100 will cancel this 100. 0 can be cancelled. And to find out the value of question mark, you will get 12 upon 9. Further simplify. 3, 4, 12, 3, 3, 9. What we are trying to calculate, we are trying to find out the change in markup. Hope you can realize in markup, the initial value is always cost price. And once I increase the cost price, I get another variable which is called as mark price. So in this case, initial value is cost price and final value is mark price. Why? Because we are trying to find out markup percent here. Okay, so it means cost price is 3 and mark price is 4. If this is the change, since markup is always positive and therefore change has to be positive, and that is what I can see here. An increase of 1 on which price? Over cost price into 100. So what is the markup percent here? You would say, sir, 33.33%. What is the answer of this question? A markup of 33.33%. The reason why, in spite of giving a discount of 10%, the trader is enjoying a profit of 20%. It's a markup of 33.33%. उसने अपना मार्कअप इतना ज्यादा किया है कि वो 10% डिस्काउंट देने के बाद भी 20% का प्रॉफिट अर्न कर रहा है. Now there's something interesting which I want you to realize. Please listen to me carefully. उसने 33.33% का मार्कअप किया. तो गाइस, had I told you कि यहाँ पे डिस्काउंट दिया ही नहीं, तब उसको कितना प्रॉफिट होता? तुम बोलते सर अगर वो डिस्काउंट देगा ही नहीं तो उसको प्रॉफिट हो जाता इक्विवेलेंट टू द मार्कअप परसेंट. जितने का मार्कअप करेगा उतने का प्रॉफिट हो जाएगा. In that case, my answer would have been same as markup percent, that is 33.33%. But since he has given a discount of 10% followed by this markup, so obviously his profit will come down. His profit will come down from 33.33% to 20%. So if someone asks you why his profit is coming down from 33.33% to 20%, you would say, sir, the reason is the discount offered, 10% discount. I hope I'm making some sense here. Now, another thing I want you to realize is you could have answered the same question using the formula as well. Formula of successive. What formula? A plus B plus A into B upon 100 equals to C. We all know A and B are the values of successive percentage change. So in this case, the value of A is something which we have to calculate. The second change, it is given. And the cumulative effect of 2, according to question, is 20%. It means in this question, I'm given with the values of B and C. And the objective is to find out the value of A. So if you simply plug in the values, the value of A is unknown. Second change is a discount. If I multiply a positive value with negative, I'll get a negative resultant. So what would I get here? 10a upon 100. And the cumulative effect of 2 is given as 20. That would be the value of C, a profit. What I'll do, I'll take this minus 10 to the other side. Once I take this minus 10 to the other side, in the left hand side, I would be left with 10a upon 100. Okay, then 20 plus 10, this would give you 30. Let's further simplify. Zeros will get cancelled. What is a minus a upon 10? If you take LCM, you will get 9a upon 10, right? And this is equivalent to 30. If you try to find out the value of a now, it is equals to 30 into. If I take this 9 by 10 to the other side, it will get inversed. 3, 1, 3, 3. What is 100 by 3? 33.33. Yes, since no sign is coming here, so I'll use positive sign. Okay. So the value of A is 33.33. According to our setup, A is the value of markup. So my answer is 33.33% again. But what I want you to realize, when I'm solving this question using the formula approach, it's a bit time consuming. And therefore, multiplication factor approach is a better option. Now, another advantage of multiplication factor is tomorrow, if I'm given with more than two changes, the same thing can be done in just one single line. If you try using that setup, using formula, it would be a time consuming process. You have to apply formula more than once. What I'm trying to tell you, let's say tomorrow you are given with the setup. There are three changes, 1, 2, and 3. First, a markup. Let's say a markup of 40% followed by a discount of 20%, and that is not all. Let's say this shopkeeper has offered two successive discount, 20% discount followed by a discount of 10%. Now, if you try solving this question using formula, the limitation with formula is it is only applicable in case of two changes. If there are more than two changes, as in this setup, formula has to be used more than once, and therefore the better approach would be to use multiplication factor. In multiplication factor, I hope you can recall, the first step is to convert these changes in the form of multiplication factor. If I increase something by 40%, what would be the multiplication factor? We'll simply add this 40% in 100%. और हम जब ऐसा करेंगे, the multiplication factor comes out to be 140 upon 100. Realize the second change, a discount of 20%. If I get a discount of 20%, it is commonsensical. I just need to pay 80%. Why 80%? Because this time I'm decreasing, so I'll decrease this value from 100, and once you do so, you will get 80 upon 100. And then the last change is a discount of 10%. If I get a discount of 10%, I just need to pay 90%. So let me directly write 90 upon 100. I hope you got the logic. Okay. Now, the next step is to write down these three successive changes one after another using multiplication sign. First change, a markup of 40% followed by second, a discount of 20%, and then the final change, another discount of 10%. And when you solve this, so my initial value is cost price and final is selling. I'll get this final to initial ratio. Okay, let's try to simplify. Zeros will get cancelled, right? Okay, anything else which can be removed from here? Yeah, 2, 7, 14, 2, 5, 10, 2, 4, 8, 2, 5, 2, 2, 4, 2, 5. Okay, let's simplify. 7 to 14, 14 into 9. And in denominator, you have 125. What is 14 into 9? It's very easy. It's 126, I guess. Yeah. And then you have a 125 in the denominator. So what we are saying, the value of cost price, why? Because initial value is always cost price, is 125, while the selling price value is 126. Now look at the change, how the change is happening from 125 to 126. Is it a positive change or negative change? You would say, sir, it's a positive change. Increase हो रहा है, कितने से इंक्रीज हो रहा है? 1 से. कौन सा वैल्यू? 125, your cost price. And then to find out the answer, you will multiply this thing by 100. Now it's pretty much easy. What is this? This is 25 4. This is 25 5. What is 4 upon 5? Very easy. 4 upon 5 is 0.8. Will gain an overall profit of 0.8%. Now what this answer is representing here? If shopkeeper marked his cost price by 40%, followed by two successive discounts of 20 and 10% respectively, he will only be able to earn a profit in terms of percentage is 0.8%. Try to understand. Had he not applied these two successive discounts, he would have earned a profit equivalent to markup percent, 40%. His profit would have been 40% only. But since he had offered these two successive discounts, due to this, his profit is coming down from 40% to 0.8%. This is what I want you to realize. So that was the last one. And I hope with these 3-4 questions, you were able to understand how to solve variety of questions on this type and also the elegant way of solving them. In the upcoming lecture, I will share more types and the best approaches which can be used. So let's close the session. Thank you and have a nice day.